Okay, today is Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. We're here today with Judy Snow, a librarian at Great Neck Library, who is also grown up here in town. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about yourself presently, and then we'll get into some fun memories.
Okay, well, presently I'm a children's librarian here at the main library, and I've been working for the Great Neck Library since 2001. And I love working here at the library, and I live here with my husband here in Great Neck. And I also grew up here, but went away to school and lived in the city for a while, and then we moved back when I was an adult. So I have been living here for a pretty long time.
Do you remember the house that you grew up in Great Neck?
Yes, the house we grew up in was on Oxford Boulevard, which is near the Allenwood Park.
And who lived there with you?
So I have an older sister and an older brother, and my parents.
What are their names?
And so we have, my brother is Jeffrey, my sister is Janet, and my parents are Lawrence and Rosalind.
What brought them here to Great Neck?
Well, they were living in Fresh Meadows, and my sister, before I was born, my sister and brother and my parents were living in Fresh Meadows, Queens. And my mother had an aunt who was already living in Great Neck, and we had some other relatives, and before I was born, they wanted a larger place. I think that was part of the reason, and the schools and everything drew us to Great Neck.
What did they do for work?
So my father was a dentist, and my mother was a teacher.
Where was she a teacher, and was your father's practice here in Great Neck?
No, my father worked on the Upper West Side, and my mother was a teacher. She taught in a few different places, but one of them was a secretarial school. She also taught at yeshiva. She taught mainly adults, and then later in her career, she also was a vocational rehabilitation counselor at Queensborough Community College for a pretty long time too.
So you grew up here in Great Neck. Where did you go to school?
So I went, for elementary school, I went to Kensington Johnson, which was open until I was in the 5th grade. Once I got to 5th grade, they closed Kensington Johnson, and I was sent to the Baker Hill School for 1 year before I was then sent to junior high school at the middle school.
And then where did you go to high school?
Great Neck North.
Okay. Any teachers, any favorite classes or favorite teachers while you were there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think one of the highlights of my school was elementary school. I was in a special program called the Interage, where they had 3rd and 4th, 5th grades together. And the teachers were just amazing, and that really left as big an impression as any of my later years. For some reason, those Interage years were very special in elementary school.
Any teachers like really inspirational in your career, or do you remember your local librarian when you were a kid?
I mean, my English teacher in high school was Dr. Modica, and I thought she was excellent, and we read a lot of classics that year that I took. I think it was like AP English, so I really got a lot out of it. I always enjoyed coming to the library, but it didn't really click that I'd work for the library till after I was out of college, really. So.
Yeah. Do you remember going to the library as a kid?
Yeah, definitely. We went to some of the storytime programs in the children's room, and yeah, I always enjoyed coming to the library. I remember when I was in either junior high or high school, I was doing research about, I think, the Love Canal. We were studying like environmental issues, and I remember going to the card catalog and the librarian helping me find like articles and things about a current events topic. And I also remember when I was writing my essays for college, I used to definitely use the study rooms here at the library.
Did you attend levels? Were you in that age range for levels?
Yeah, it definitely was in the age range, but I was really, after school, I was doing a lot of sports, so I didn't really get into drama or clubs that much. I was really doing the athletics.
Yeah. What did you play?
So tennis was a big thing for me, so I played a lot of tennis all through school. And then even though I was really short, it was funny, I played on the basketball team, I played on the badminton team, I played lacrosse, and I ran track. So I did a lot of sports.
Any coaches memorable?
Yeah, there's a coach, oh gosh, and I'm forgetting his name. We had coach, the name will come to me in a minute. I had a coach for track, that I remember well, and we were friendly with their family, but I'm just blanking on the name right now. It'll come to me. I'll see if I can remember.
What was a typical weekend growing up here?
Well, in the summer, when it was warm weather, my parents also my whole family played tennis, and Memorial Field was it used to be a really big tennis town. So on the weekends, early morning, we'd be playing tennis, Saturday and Sunday, and going there, and also we would go to the Parkwood pool, and I would swim a lot, so between the tennis and the swimming, we did that a lot, like in the warm weather. And then during the winter, my brother was big into judo, so he did like a lot with the judo and wrestling and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Any memorable businesses? Any store that you like to frequent in
I
town?
remember there was Camp and Campus. We used to buy clothes at there was Camp and Campus. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember where else we used to go. There was Bruce's. There used to be the bakery.
Did your family eat at local restaurants, or did you cook at home a lot?
Yeah, we did both. I remember a favorite restaurant we used to go to. I remember this restaurant, and it's funny because there was a Chinese restaurant called Uncle Chow's that was off of Cuttermill Road. And it's funny because now the temple I go to is built in the building that used to house the Uncle Chow Chinese restaurant.
Do you remember when that place closed down?
Oh, it was a pretty long time ago because, like, the temple I go to, Temple Isaiah, used to meet in a Korean church on Stoner Avenue. And then I think between 15 and 20 years ago, they moved to the site, which was the Uncle Chow restaurant, and built their own smaller temple building there. So that must have been, at least like 20 years or more years ago.
So you mentioned temple. Did you grow up going to another temple in town?
Well, we used to go to that Temple Isaiah. It's just we weren't like really heavily involved. But my brother had a bar mitzvah. My sister and I did not have bar mitzvah, but I did a little bit of religious school there when I was growing up.
Anybody memorable in the temple? Do you remember the rabbi's name?
Yeah, what was memorable was when I was in high school, I was in a confirmation class, which typically you do after a bat mitzvah, and I'd never had a bat mitzvah, but I went for this confirmation class, and there was a rabbi named Judith Lewis, and she was memorable because there weren't too many female rabbis at that time. So I did a confirmation program with her.
So tell me a little bit about your love of library, and you're an asset to the community, and you have known many of the families in town. So tell me about being a librarian at Great Neck.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, what's amazing is some of the kids that have been in my story times, now they're in college and out of college, and just to see them grow up and to still be part of the community in that way is really great to see people over the years, and it's nice to see them now and what they're doing. Or some of them come in with, what's been interesting for me as working here is once I was in the children's room when we were upstairs and before the renovation, and one of my second grade teachers came in with a class, and she was still teaching, and she was bringing her class to the library, and here I was working at the library. So.
Did she remember you?
She didn't. I remembered her, Mrs. Brescher. She didn't remember me, but I've seen other teachers I've had, like my AP European history teacher was in the library. I've seen some of my other interage teachers all use the library because they were still living here. So.
What other memories do you have? Like, was there something what did you and your friends do, after school or.
Yeah, so one of the things we used to use, the skating rink a lot, definitely. I know it's probably even more heavily used now but we used to go skating at Parkwood. That was a lot of fun. We used to go to Stepping Stone Park a lot for the concerts. And we used to do a little bit of sledding in the winter. It's just I can't remember where we used to go. There was definitely a sled hill, but I just don't remember where it was.
And you've seen the changeover on Middle Neck Road, I mean, through the decades. Is there any store that you would bring back?
Oh yeah, you know what I would bring back? What was neat was on the corner of Cutter Mill and Middle Neck, there used to be a restaurant there called Mushrooms, and it was like kind of like a bar restaurant. I wasn't old enough to go. My older sister used to go there, but it was like we had more places like bar restaurants that were like community centers, and like some of those places are gone. But I remember, and also I remember where the Station Branch library is now. It was definitely a pool hall and a restaurant were up there, and people used to hang out up there. I just don't, I'm trying to remember if it was which restaurant it was. Yeah, there were some other fun places like that.
And so currently, what is for fun currently in town? What's some of your favorite things to do in town now?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of Asian restaurants now that we like, and we're pretty involved with our temple, so we do temple events on the weekends too, and sadly the movie theater's gone, but we go to movies sometimes. Like the Great Neck Arts Center has events where they have movies in other, like the movies that will show maybe in Hasset or Port Washington, but it's connected with the Gold Coast Arts Center here in town. So we do that.
You mentioned your husband. Did you name him?
My husband is Scott Schleifstein.
And he is not a native of Great Neck.
No, he's from New Jersey. We met in the city. We had some mutual friends, and he was living in the city.
And so how long has he been living in Great Neck now?
So we moved here in 2002.
And is he now an official Great Necker?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's funny because he used to his office was at Midtown. He's an attorney, and he used to commute. And then during the pandemic, we were able to move his office. He became the owner, and he was able to move it here into Great Neck. So now he can work local. So.
Do you remember, and I always love this part, so like growing up in Great Neck, what is different about growing up in Great Neck as a teenager? I mean, did you do all the traditional things like driver's ed and prom and
I did some of this. I did driver's ed because I had gotten a summer job at the Science Museum of Long Island which is right in Manhasset, Port Washington. So I was going to be working there the summers after my junior and senior year, so I needed to drive early. So I did driver's ed, but I used to take the bus to school. So I didn't have a car, but I could drive. And I actually didn't do the prom. So I can't talk about that. I'm trying to remember what else we did. There was some special things from
like homecoming. Was homecoming a big event back then?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I remember one big pep rally we had for like the football team that I went to. We had where the cheerleaders all did something, performed and.
Did a lot of people drive then, or was mass transportation still a popular mode of travel?
I mean, a lot of people took the bus, but there were a lot of kids who had cars even by the time they were juniors, seniors, so the parking lot would be full. So a lot of kids did have cars.
Yeah, and the proximity to the city. Did you go into the city a lot living here in Great Neck?
I went a little. Other friends in school. Friends of mine went in more than I did, but yeah, you could definitely get into the city, and I was out here more often than that, but you could, definitely.
And you mentioned your house growing up on Oxford, you said.
Yeah.
Do you remember that house, the details of that house? Is it still standing?
Yeah, it's still there because, my parents were still living there after all of us had moved out. And they lived there until, I think maybe about 15 years ago, they sold that house. So I still see the house because it's right near Allenwood Park. So when I go to Allenwood Park, I see it.
What are you have fond memories of growing up in that house?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, we used to have, you know, a lot of people over and family over, and, you know, my sister and brother, obviously, we all, you know, grew up there together. Oh, we had some funny stories. We used to have like a fireplace, and there was one winter where the squirrel came down through the fireplace. Oh, there was another winter where there was an ice storm and a tree fell on the roof, and then that was sort of crazy, but remember.
Did you have pets growing up?
Not really. Yeah, we had a cat for a little while. My brother was in Albany, going to medical school, and he had a cat there, and the cat got loose, and it had a tag on it. So someone called us once, and they were like, "Your cat, we found your cat." It was my brother's cat. My brother ended up giving us the cat. So yeah.
He's what kind of doctor?
So he's a cardiologist.
And what is your sister, what was her profession?
She worked for the Department of Transportation. She's in public administration, but now more recently she's kind of like a real estate agent.
And are they still nearby or in town?
Yeah, my brother is in Glen Cove and my sister's in Roslyn.
What years did you guys graduate high school?
So I graduated in '89, and my sister graduated in '82, and my brother graduated in '83.
Very good. Anything else you want to share about Great Neck? Any other happy memories or funny stories?
I can't think of funny stories. Yeah, I think I covered most of it. Yeah, it was really great. The parks are just so great here, and just, you know, it's just a great place to grow up. And yeah, we used to definitely go into the city, you know, to shows and museums and stuff like that.
And because of the volume of affluent people, celebrities, you know, politicians, people of that nature, was that common to see somebody who was in show business or was in a high level of politics or government here in town while you were growing up?
I'm trying to think. I don't remember that so much, really. Seeing celebrities. Yeah, I don't remember that so much from growing up. Actually, I knew there were definitely people who were in very large houses, but I just didn't interact with them that much.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in and sharing your stories today, Judy.
Okay.
All right.